Political leaders from around the world will meet in Copenhagen seeking solutions to better cope with climate change. Experts say that as the world's biggest developing country and carbon dioxide emitter, China has shown tremendous political will and commitment in addressing the issue. Meanwhile, China will stick to consensus already built among international community in climate change negotiations. Liu Ying reports.
10 days ahead of the UN Climate Change Conference in Copenhagen, China made a commitment to the international community to curb its carbon emissions. The goal is to reduce carbon emissions per unit of GDP by 40 to 45% by 2020, compared with 2005 levels. Experts say this is a major step towards tackling the climate change.
This is a major cut in carbon intensity, if achieved. And it is also a major contribution to build momentum for Copenhagen. If you look at this 40 to 45% of cut energy and the carbon intensity, so for the 15 years, we expect to see just approximately 5 billion tons of carbon dioxide, the emission reduction. That's just about twice as much of the carbon emission of the entire country of India.
Qie says China will adhere to the stand of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Kyoto Protocol. This requires developed countries to cut carbon emissions by at least 40% by 2020 from 1990 levels. China will also firmly stick to the common but differentiated responsibility principle in climate change negotiations.
These principles, by the way, is a fair treatment. It is to take into account the reality in the history and the reality right now. And after all, 80% of all carbon dioxide that released into the atmosphere came from the developed country.
Technical and financial support from developed countries will be a major concern for developing nations. The European Union estimates that by 2020, about 100 billion euros will be needed each year for developing countries to curb greenhouse gas emissions and cope with the global warming. However, some experts say what developed nations have done so far is disappointing.
Under UNFCCC and also under Kyoto Protocol, there has been arrangement and agreement already, promises made under those important legal documents. However, very disappointingly, we have not seen those promises being delivered.
Qie says developed countries carrying out their promises is for the global public good. They should fulfill their historic and current responsibilities on greenhouse gas emissions. The whole world is putting great expectations on the Copenhagen summit. Premier Wen Jiabao will bring China's commitment to tackling climate change. But experts say the success of the talks lies primarily with developed countries. They have the capacity. What is needed now is political will and leadership in addressing the challenges. Liu Ying, CCTV, Beijing.
With the 2009 UN Climate Change Conference around the corner, how to stop climate change is becoming a hot issue. Using clean energy is one of the ways to offset global climate change, but it's not an easy task to push forward, especially in large developing countries like China. Liu Ming explains.
Clean energy has been among the most frequently used words when talking about environmental protection and climate change. It stands for energy without discharge of pollutants. Clean energy is mostly recyclable, including wind, solar, water and biological energy. New energy is widely recognized as an effective approach to solve problems of energy shortage and environmental pollution.
The Copenhagen Conference is expected to promote the use of clean energy, but the difficulties still remain in terms of fundraising, technology, along with political obstacles. China, as a responsible developing country, will be endeavoring to push relevant programs and projects forward.
The adoption of clean energy in China is still not common. The State Council of China released a detailed stimulus plan for equipment manufacturing for 2009 to 2011, with clean energy in the spotlight. The plan requires equipment manufacturers to try and use clean energy in equipment production. Experts say enacting relevant laws will help utilize clean energy that is costly to most enterprises.
We are actually drafting a series of laws, including a new energy law and a recyclable energy law, among others. Legal framework is essential to reducing pollutions, increasing energy efficiency, and changing the pattern of China's economic growth. But there is still a lot to do to guarantee the implementation of relevant laws and regulations.
Climate change and environment pollution are closely connected with not only China but the entire world. The upcoming Copenhagen Climate Change Summit is an opportunity for world leaders to find a way out together.
The conflict between human development and environmental protection has been one of the most talked about issues of the past decade. And it's really hard for the world, especially developing and developed countries, to settle disputes about the deterioration of the environment. But time is now pressing for all countries to face up to and take joint action to tackle the problem. Liu Ming, CCTV, Beijing.